University. I'm originally from Grant. Yeah. Then UCL. Oh, great. Yeah. Fairly easy in my view. Yeah. I wish I'd done my. Oh, the yeah. Yeah. I'm standing as a council candidate next elections. We had a bit of a coup this week because one of the Labour councillors defected to us. So we've got a bit of good news from that. So having an action day on Saturday in Davie in Vauxhall. So yeah, hoping that will boost our campaign. Oh, at this point of the government? Well, maybe there might be more. I could see a few going green as well from Labour. Yeah. Still, it's only a year in, but it's amazing how much trouble they've run into already. But this quickly? I don't know.
It's hard because as soon as you're in the moment, it's hard to remember how you felt.
Yeah, that's true actually. I'd forgotten when the last government managed to do it. What made you want to work for MP?
I was doing my master's and
It's been a very varied job. Yeah. Very good. Did you have to be a member already? No, but you want to say like full fledged live, yeah. No. Yeah. Oh, well done you, like straight after a master's. Great first job.
No, I totally get that.
Oh, I see. I did that as well actually, I had a gap between my... I found it very useful actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found it mine as well. Yeah, it's a hard master's, but it was good. They really did train you. I mean, they were our PhD students potentially. I never really wanted to do that, but I appreciated the hard grounding in maths, technical analysis.
Like you do a different master.
The MRes.
It could be like that.
Right. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Yeah. UCL they were a bit like that, in a bit more of a kind of subtle way. They started like pulling out people who were doing like amazing work, and then saying like you should do this. Well, you have to do that in your first year at UCL, and then you progress. But the Emirates, I've told you, is insanely hard. But I never really wanted to do that. So I used to be a civil servant. I worked in the Treasury, HMRC, OBR. I kind of got a bit sick about the constraints that imposes on you. Like, obviously, you can't be political either. Are they journalists? I guess some of them are journalists. Too late now.
More time passes, the more I'm like, I don't want to be in there.
Yeah, it's not a photo. Yeah.
You're in the politics game.
I really don't like that. I like don't have anything political anywhere.
Well,
Like, and this is like so explicit.
we're literally standing next to it.
I mean, I'm supposed to be at work, so I hope they don't notice.
Well,
Taking it off.
No, I'm on my notice period, so I'm hoping they won't get. I'm moving next month.
You don't actually work with me.
I'm online.
it's like that. Do you remember when there was the Taylor Swift concerts and that girl, that woman, took a sick day to Taylor Swift concert with a blanket over her head? She didn't want her boss to see her on
The shop. Although it might be a slight improvement on me. Yeah, I'm hoping they're not really Lib Dems where I work, so. You work for an MP as well?
Yeah, I work for an
Which one? Is Cameron coming?
No, he's not coming. He couldn't make it. Obviously, yeah, something more him died. I wonder what time it started.
I thought it was meant to be about 9:30, but I was told also that the speeches are going to be very long, so I mean, I need to bail out of here by about 10:15 anyway, so. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, very nice part of the world.
Yeah, it's just like,
Okay, healthy. Yeah, good.
I left my bag over there. I'm hoping it will be fine.
You might not get your place back, that's the worry. Although you might not mind, yeah.
What time do you need to head off?
Whenever, like, I have nothing. Alex is offside.
Oh, is she? Okay.
Yeah.
It's apparently
Past 9 on a Wednesday morning. Doesn't feel right. Nice and good as coffee. Perfect, yeah. be very difficult to be on the phone all the time.
Yeah, I've literally texted her.
Right. Being involved in politics at a local level on my phone blows up more than I'm used to. I find myself constantly on it. Yes, Oh, right, sorry. You have to give a speech.
Timing.
We're just waiting for Daisy to come and pull a pint.
She'd do it better than Zach Goldsmith.
Puts up 200 watts. Probably is. And questions from associated people. Yeah. Yeah, not later than 9:45. Well, there you go.
She's just
Slightly closer to
right on the budget's king.
of this bar.
Budget's fine.
Didn't use my data.
I've got nothing really to say. So, do we know? Yeah. Do we know? Do we have our Lib Dem alternative budget?
Yes.
We publish.
Oh, I don't think in like a budget form. But
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it's out there.
Yes, I know. They can be very inappropriate.
I saw it being Twitter. Didn't know if it actually did.
Is she like it though?
No.
Have you got service in it?
We were just talking, I've got a whole yellow on the road, and then they changed it to orange. Okay.
You okay? You must be hurting the knees. Yeah, well, we might have to give you a lift up.
I don't think it's 20
No,
minutes.
it's all right. I
And
understand.
the weather's
Yeah. Shouldn't have done that.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, and thank you so much for coming. 2 weeks today, the Labour government will deliver their second budget. And let's be honest, it is looking a bit bleak. They promised they would deliver change, and they haven't. They promised that they wouldn't put up key taxes, and they're preparing to do just that. And they promised that they wouldn't come back for more. Well, we'll see. The problem is, the Labour government has no vision. No vision for our country, no vision for our economy, and whatever their destination, they are failing to take the British people with them. This cannot go on. We Liberal Democrats know that all the while that Labour is engrossed in their infighting, people are struggling. Every single day, people are struggling with the cost of living. They're scared that they can't keep their homes warm this winter. And as well as the cost of living crisis, we also have a cost of doing business crisis. You just have to go down to the high street and you can see it. There are cafes and restaurants and bars and pubs and other businesses closing their doors, shutting up shops. And if the Labour government is not careful, this cost of doing business crisis is going to snowball. And in the coming months, we will see many more businesses shutting their doors, boarding up the windows, and handing back the keys. This cannot go on. That is why, today, we Liberal Democrats are incredibly proud to announce that we, if we were in government and if we were doing the budget in 2 weeks' time, we would deliver a £12 billion emergency package to drive down energy bills for households, to slash VAT for hospitality, attractions and accommodation, and to put in train the measures that would save our beloved high streets. Politics is about choices. And we Liberal Democrats are choosing where we would raise the tax. We would not be looking to raise income tax of struggling families. We wouldn't be looking to raise more taxes on small businesses. We would be looking to raise taxes in a fair way on those that can afford to pay the most. We have said that we would raise a one-off windfall tax on the big banks. And if the government doesn't do this, if the government doesn't levy a windfall tax on the big banks, then in the next 5 years, we taxpayers will be shelling out £50 billion to the big banks. We Liberal Democrats say that that is not okay. So we will levy a big windfall tax on the big banks, and that could raise £30 billion in the next 5 years. We will use just half of that to deliver this package to drive down energy bills, tackle the cost of living, save hospitality and our high streets. As I say, politics is about choices, and we Liberal Democrats choose. We choose to tax the big banks in order that we can cut energy bills, roll out a VAT cut for hospitality, save our high streets, and give the British people a much-needed morale boost. Thank you. Thank you very much. I've got first question, Helen, I think.
Yeah. You pitched this as leading to lower prices of VAT cuts of hospitality for families who are struggling to go out and afford a meal out, for example. How would you actually make sure that a VAT cut meant lower prices? Because surely a struggling hospitality business could perfectly legitimately say, well, no, I'll keep my prices the same and use that extra money to maybe employ more staff. And in the second question, if I may, we are, as you say, 2 weeks out from the budget. This morning, we've got a cabinet minister defending himself against allegations that he's plotting to oust the Prime Minister, which have apparently come from allies of the Prime Minister. What do you think that says to the markets and people ahead of such an important moment as the budget?
Well, let me take that one first. So I think that West Streeting should be focused on sorting out the crisis in the NHS, not the crisis in Number 10. I think if Number 10 has realised that the country is frustrated and they've internalised that as a party, that is a good thing because it gives us hope they might start to turn things around. But on the other hand, we are just 2 weeks away from the budget. These kind of stories are incredibly damaging for the markets and for investors, both domestic and international. And as a country, we don't want that to be so destabilising. We need to show that Britain PLC is open for business, and that would be the message from we Liberal Democrats. On the first point, in terms of the numbers that we've produced, we said the combination of these two measures, reducing energy bills by removing one of the policy levies and giving this VAT cut, would put £270 back into people's pockets. Factored into that is the estimation that only half of that VAT cut would get passed on to the consumer, and that is modelled based on statistics that we have from the government's own figures from previous VAT cuts. And we think that is acceptable right now. Quite frankly, if you think about hospitality, they often have workers on and we all love going out to hospitality. All of us know, all of us remember the place we went to on a particular date, somewhere we went to with a family occasion. Hospitality is a core part of our communities, and we have got to save hospitality whilst also getting our economy going again. And this would be
breaking on this government and on trust in politics in general if they were to break that pledge on not raising income tax. And then secondly, what do you think about the notion of a young, ambitious colleague challenging an older, less popular party leader?
Righto. So, if Labour government were to break this pledge, it would be incredibly damaging. Not just for the Labour Party, but for trust in politics. And they made this a central pledge of their platform when they went into the general election. And it is hard to think that they would have got the majority they did without having made that pledge. So I think it will be incredibly damaging, and I think they probably know that. On the second point, other parties will do what other parties do. I am very proud to say that we Liberal Democrats are the most united party in Westminster. We hunt as a pack, we operate as a team, and we have a strong front bench.
Catherine Forster, GB News, thank you. What do you think people around the country are going to make of a government that seems to be engaging in some sorts of civil war just a couple of weeks before a budget? And can you rule out potentially going into coalition with Labour after the next election if it meant that you could keep Nigel Farage out of Downing Street? And also, if I may, on the WASPy women, they seem to be having a rethink. What would you do about the WASPy women?
Yeah. So I have to say, the announcement yesterday from the government I thought was pretty staggering. This issue has been going on for a very long time, and they suddenly seem to have discovered a new piece of paperwork through a court process. I think WASPy women have been denied justice for far too long. The Ombudsman produced a report that set out a number of different options. If we were in government, we would be looking at that report and trying to come up with a fair compensation package. But what's clear is that I think all of us were pretty shocked when the Labour government got that report. The Ombudsman said there are different things that you could do, and the Labour government said, no, we're not going to do any of them. And that was absolutely the wrong thing to do. So we would go back to that Ombudsman report, we would look at what constituted a fair package, we would work with the WASPy women, and then roll something out. And you have to remind me of your previous question.
And what the public will make of civil war, and would you rule out a coalition with Labour?
So on the civil war, honestly, I think people are sick to the back teeth of this stuff. You know, the public sent a very, very strong message to the Conservative Party at the last general election, and with good reason, because they had years and years of flip-flopping. They had the lies from Boris Johnson, they had the mini-budget from Liz Truss, they had the kind of inertia from Rishi Sunak, and they had all of that infighting, and the British public were fed up with it, and they sent a very strong message to the Conservatives as a result. The Labour government should remember that and be very, very careful, because the British public are crying out for change. They are crying out for a political party that understands their every single day lives. At the moment, we are not hearing anything from the Labour government about what they would do to improve people's lives. We Liberal Democrats today are saying, we get it. We would reduce your energy bills immediately. We would produce a VAT cut immediately. We would boost the local economy and get us all out of this state of misery and give us a morale boost. Look, politics is so febrile right now. Honestly, I don't even know what the polls are going to look like in 2 weeks' time after the budget, let alone in 3 years' time. So we'll have to have that chat another time.
Thank you. Ryan Savey from The Sun. Is Ed Davey a serious candidate for Prime Minister? And how would he fight for Britain on a world stage if he refuses to even be in the same room as the US President?
Yeah, I think Ed Davey is the most serious person in Westminster and has the best chance of being a serious Prime Minister. He's an economist. He was the first person to call for a windfall tax on the big oil and gas companies to drive down energy prices. He has spoken movingly and passionately, has a very clear vision as to how he would reform the NHS and save social care. And I think what we saw during the general election was that millions of people Prime Minister right now. And your second question? As a climate minister during government, he was doing deals to tackle the climate emergency. In fact, he's the only party leader with that experience, so he's best placed. Hi. Hi.
I noticed you've not mentioned anything about the two-child benefit cap. Is that something that you would also scrap at this budget if you were in charge? And how would you fund that? And then second question, do you think that Keir Starmer and the government have not backed the BBC enough, or if they have backed the BBC enough in this whole situation?
Sure. So yes, we would scrap the two-child benefit cap for two reasons. The first, I think it is absolutely wrong to penalise children who are growing up in poverty just for that very reason alone. And secondly, because it's actually better for the taxpayer in the long term. All the evidence shows that if you have children growing up in poverty, they have poorer health, they have poorer nutrition, they have less exercise, they have respiratory conditions that all cost the taxpayer more money in the long term. So it's the right thing to do morally, it's the right thing to do for the taxpayer, as well. So yes, we would do that. In terms of how we'd fund it, we have put no end of suggestions to the Labour government about how they could raise revenue in a fair way. We've talked about increasing the digital services tax on people like Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and the other social media giants. That's just one way. We've encouraged the government to look at increasing taxes on the remote gaming duty, those big gambling companies. We said today, repeated our calls again today, for a windfall tax on the big banks that could raise £30 billion over the next 5 years. And on top of all of that, we have got to grow the economy. We are the only party in British politics right now that is talking seriously about growing our economy by doing a better deal with Europe. The government has got to get on and do it now.
If you were scrapping it right now, which of those measures would you take to fund it?
Well, we could hypothecate as much as you like, right? But any of those measures, when you're doing a budget, you don't hypothecate every single tax to every single measure. But I've given you 3 or 4 examples of the billions of pounds that you could raise through a number of different measures. Even growing the economy with a better deal with Europe itself would bring in about £25 billion per year. Those are several examples that would cover that £3 billion price tag.
Oh, and sorry, on the BBC?
Oh, on the BBC. How could I forget? So, look, as a Liberal Democrat, I am a huge supporter of public broadcasting. I think it's particularly important that in the 21st century, when we're facing disinformation and misinformation and everyone's getting their news from different places, it is so important that we have a public broadcaster that we all share, that we as the British people own. But there's no doubt that over the last few months and years, they've made some really sloppy editorial mistakes. And when they've tried to either correct them or apologise, that's been far too slow, far too slow. So, of course, there has to be a culture change and improvements at the BBC. But when we Liberal Democrats hold the BBC to account, it's because we want it to succeed. We want to protect the BBC. We want to strengthen the independence of the BBC. And we want it to succeed for the future. I think, to be fair to Lisa Nandy, she has come out fairly stridently to support the BBC. I think because whilst we hold the BBC to account to improve it, there are those who want to do the opposite. There are other people in other political parties, namely Reform and some in the Conservative Party, who want to criticise the BBC so they can defund the BBC and replace it with a Fox-style news. And I say we don't want Trump's America to become Farage's Britain here.
Hi, Daisy.
Sure.
Somewhere in the corner. You talk very eloquently about how public trust in politics is at a very low end. And I think one of the reasons that lots of people pointed out why that would be the case is there's not been an honest conversation that if you want services to work, then people have to pay more in tax. Is there a danger £1 billion for WASPy women, 3.5 billion for due-child benefit cap, or the 12 billion you just announced now? And you're saying you're going to have taxes to pay, but these are slightly pain-free taxes, ones which people think, oh, that won't actually affect me, like a gambling tax, a digital services tax, a bank levy. Do you worry you're perhaps part of the problem, that you are promising people that they can have good public services without any paying from tax?
Look, if we're going to have an honest conversation about tax, let's also have an honest conversation about growth. Brexit has been a disaster for this country. It has wrapped up small businesses in red tape. And whether it's our hospitality businesses, or whether it's gardening centres, or whether it's our fantastic British exporters, they have to fill in reams of paperwork. 2 billion pieces of paper have had to be completed by British businesses since the Brexit deal. That's enough paper to wrap around the world 15 times. If we could scrap that red tape, we could get serious about growth. And it's all very well for the Labour government to say, well, Brexit is part of the problem. But if they're going to say that, they have to say how they're going to fix that and what the solution is. We've given them the solution. We need them to go further and adopt our proposals for a UK-EU customs union. Oh, hi.
Hi, how you doing? I have 2 questions. Firstly, about the pensioners triple log, which independent economists argue is basically ridiculous. It's not unfair generationally, and it costs loads of money, etc. Aren't you kind of putting politics ahead of the country by committing to that? Because obviously you're seeking votes from a particular cohort. And secondly, would the Lib Dems stop politicians presenting current affairs TV shows, news shows?
Second question, yes. First question, look, the triple lock is really important. We were very proud to introduce that as a party. there are still 12 million people in this country who are set to have a really poor retirement. And the triple lock is important not just for pensioners of today, but for the pensioners of tomorrow. Now, some of you in this room who are political wonks will know the government has been putting through a pensions bill recently. They're trying to consolidate pension funds so that those pensions can be invested in the infrastructure that we desperately need to build in this country. If we start playing around with pensions policy, that's going to have a devastating effect on the ability of our pension funds in this country to invest in infrastructure and get the productive growth that we need in the economy. So it's all linked together, and I think it'd be very short-sighted to make a change on that policy anytime soon. Well done. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. That was much.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yes, I didn't meet you in person. Yes.
And I was good there, like,